All right, today we're going to tackle a question that could be an absolute game changer for anyone trying to manage their blood sugar. What is the single most important mineral for diabetics? Let's dive in. So picture this. You're doing everything you're supposed to. You're tracking your carbs, you're taking your medication, you're even exercising. But that A1C number, it just isn't moving. It's an incredibly frustrating story we hear all the time, and it can really feel like you're just hitting a brick wall. But what if I told you the problem isn't your effort at all? What if it's something much smaller, something you can't even see? Well, the research we're diving into today points to a specific mineral deficiency that could be the invisible force completely sabotaging all your hard work. So that brings us right to the heart of the issue, really understanding this stubborn blood sugar problem and, the subtle signs that come along with it. So take a look at this list. Does any of this sound familiar to you? We're talking about those sugar spikes that just come out of nowhere, that nagging nerve discomfort or tingling, muscle weakness that just never seems to go away, a really deep, overwhelming fatigue, and even anxiety you can't quite explain. These aren't just random problems. They could all be clues pointing to one single root cause. So what is this mystery mineral we've been talking about? Well, it's magnesium. And our source calls it the hidden key to making your insulin work way, way more efficiently. And look, here's why it is so unbelievably important. Magnesium isn't just some minor player in your body. It's an absolute powerhouse. It's involved in over 600, yes, 600 different processes. And what's crucial for us is that this includes every single step of how your body uses insulin. From the moment insulin knocks on a cell's door to the moment that cell actually lets glucose in for energy, magnesium is needed. Without it, that entire critical process just slows to a crawl. Let's put this side by side, okay? It's like a tale of two different bodies. On the one side, with a deficiency, you see high insulin resistance, muscle cramps, anxiety. But on the other side, when you have enough magnesium, you can see a 31 to 38% improvement in insulin sensitivity. Your muscles are relaxed, you feel calmer, you sleep better. The difference is just night and day. And listen, this isn't just some vague idea. We're talking about real, hard numbers here. Correcting a deficiency could lead to a reduction in your HbA1c, that's your 3-month blood sugar average, by 0.8 to 1.2%. That's huge. Your fasting glucose could drop by 24 to 31 points, and those awful post-meal spikes, they could be slashed by 38 to 46 points. These are numbers that can genuinely change your life. But here is the thing. Magnesium isn't a solo act. It has a couple of critical partners in crime, you could say. So let's look at two other vital minerals that are part of this amazing team. First up, we have selenium. And you can seriously think of this one as a bodyguard for your pancreas. Its main job is to act as a super powerful antioxidant. It protects the delicate little cells that produce your insulin from getting damaged by something called oxidative stress, which is kind of like a rust building up inside your body. And this protection, it is so vital. Research consistently shows that people with diabetes often have 26 to 34% lower levels of selenium than people who don't. And that deficit leaves those all-important insulin-making cells much more vulnerable to damage over time. Okay, our next team member is iron. Specifically, we're talking about a gentle, easy-to-absorb form called iron bisglycinate. Iron's job is all about delivery. It's the key ingredient for hemoglobin, which is like the delivery truck that carries oxygen in your blood. And your cells are screaming for that oxygen so they can burn glucose for fuel. If there's no oxygen, there's no energy, and that glucose just gets left floating around in your bloodstream. And you really need to let this next number sink in. The impact of low iron is it's staggering. We're not talking about a small problem here. An iron deficiency can make insulin resistance worse by up to 47%. So now you can see how they all work together, right? Magnesium unlocks the door for glucose, selenium protects the insulin factory, and iron delivers the oxygen your cells need to burn the fuel. Okay, so knowing all this is one thing, right? But the big question is, what can you actually do about it? Well, that brings us to your action plan. And the best place to start is always with food, right? For magnesium, you're looking at things like pumpkin seeds, almonds, spinach, even dark chocolate. For selenium, it's crazy easy. Just 2 Brazil nuts a day often does the trick. And for iron, you want to look for sources like dark poultry meat, lentils, and even oysters. Now, if food isn't enough and you and your doctor decide supplements are the way to go, you've got to be smart about it. Safety is everything here. Rule number 1, and it's the most important. Talk to your doctor first, always. Then, Start with the low dose and go slow. It's also so important to keep a close eye on your glucose because as your body gets more sensitive to insulin, your medication might need to be adjusted. And finally, get tested every few months to make sure your levels are right where they should be. Okay, I need you to listen very, very carefully to this next part. This is probably the single most important warning in this whole discussion, especially about magnesium. Your kidneys are what get rid of any excess magnesium in your body. So, anyone with kidney disease absolutely must avoid supplementing unless they are under strict, direct medical supervision. Seriously, this is non-negotiable. And it doesn't stop there. You've also got to be aware of how other common medications can interact with these minerals. For example, things like diuretics, water pills, and common acid blockers can actually lower your magnesium. And if you take thyroid medication, it's critical to take your iron supplement at least 4 hours apart. Otherwise, your body can't absorb both of them properly.
So, when you put all of this together, what's the big takeaway? Well, what this really offers is a new way of looking at things, a completely new path to hopefully getting more control.
And that path is based on this idea that true, lasting blood sugar control, it goes way beyond just counting carbs and taking your meds. There's a much deeper, more foundational layer that we need to be thinking about. When it comes right down to it, it's about giving your body the fundamental raw materials, the building blocks it desperately needs to work the way it's supposed to. When the machinery is working right at the cellular level, everything else just gets that much easier. And that really leaves us with one final, and I think really important question you should be asking yourself. In all the talks you've had about diet and exercise and medicine, have you and your doctor ever stopped to look at your actual mineral levels? Because the answer to that question could be the key that finally unlocks the control you've been working so hard to achieve.